Welcome to the series of introductory lessons related to the time value of money. My name is Brent Pritchard. I teach college finance courses, and I'm here to help you grasp this all-important concept. This introductory series is designed to help you learn how to apply the mathematics of finance in less than a month, provided you commit to one or more lessons a day. It's that easy. Acquiring the hard skill that is the mathematics of finance does not need to be hard. I hope you enjoy this fun new take on this age-old concept. And after you've done that, please consider telling your friends about this channel, TVM Rules, and the book, Would Your Boomerang Return, also known as the Boomerang Book, that made it possible. I like to start every class with a quote, so here we go with the quote of the lesson. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. In this lesson, we're focused on TVM rule number 1. In particular, the focus is on looking at money in different points in time. In the TVM rules, notice that the in of in-between periods or payments on the timeline wasn't written with an uppercase N. In the context of the mathematics of finance, there's lowercase n and then there's uppercase N. It's lowercase n, not uppercase N, that must correspond with I, which is the true investment yield. I've been known to tell my students that if they don't know or can't calculate I, then don't even bother with the math. Odds-wise, they might be better off buying a lottery ticket and trying to hit the jackpot than pulling the correct answer out of thin air. The variable uppercase N represents the number of consecutive periods or payments for an even annuity that are subject to the same true investment yield and the same time span in between periods or payments on the timeline. This may or may not be equal to the total investment period. Before we get into the math or numbers, let's use some words. We've already discussed the difference between lowercase n and uppercase N. In the prior lesson, we discussed the different payment types and signs. In terms of the different payment types, it comes down to frequency or lack thereof, amount, and timing. And we can remember this with the acronym FAT. Sorry, it's not PC, but it works. And who doesn't want a fat payment, right? In the third bullet, notice how we identified frequency, amount, and timing, including the positive no sign value for the payments. In this example, the time span in between periods or payments on the timeline, which is represented by lowercase n, is 6 months. Since not every situation contemplates an even annuity, let's change things up a little bit. Here, the time span in between payments or periods on the timeline is an annual time span. Now go back and locate the word timing on this slide and on the preceding slide, and you'll see what I mean by telling time as it relates to the mathematics of finance. That's lowercase n. Here's the real world situation. We're actually going to be working through a couple real world situations in this lesson. Yes, $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. I know. Why? Because there are markets for capital. Money can earn a return, which is what we call the true investment yield. And it's because of the true investment yield that we need to run the numbers, and why the answer isn't always take the money and run. So we're going to work through this real world situation. Wouldn't it be nice if you had this question in front of you? And we're going to draw a TVM wallet. I'm actually going to draw 2 TVM wallets. They're going to be a little smaller because we really want to focus in on this idea of being indifferent. Remember, that's the one word that I think about when I think about the time value of money. So in the TVM wallet on the left, I'm going to write in the 5 primary time value of money variables, the keys on your financial calculator that you're going to be using more often than not. And remember, this question asked, would you rather have $10,000 today or $14,000 2 years from now? Why am I writing a 4 there? Because we were provided with the, let's fill in the blank, true semi-annual investment yield. The true semi-annual investment yield here is 6.152%. So we'll put an S in the subscript for uppercase N to remind us how we're telling time. And we want to determine the future value, so let's circle that, after 2 years. There are 2 semi-annual periods in every year, and this is why we have a 4 on the top of this timeline, because we have 4 6-month periods over this 2-year investment horizon. We've got $10,000, or we could have $10,000. That's what we're trying to decide, right? There are 4 lowercase n's. So uppercase N takes the value of 4. And when we determine the future value, we get $12,697.34. So would you rather have $10,000 today or $14,000 2 years from today? I think it's clear that the answer in this case is $14,000 2 years from today, provided you expected that you could earn a true investment yield of 6.152%, and that is a true semi-annual investment yield. So let's work this backward so that we can understand this idea of being indifferent. This is the symbol for the abridged timeline. And here, remember, we were asked, do you want $10,000 today or $14,000 2 years from today? So now let's determine the present value as of today. The numbers haven't changed. Now future value is $14,000. We have 0 for a PMT payment because there's no annuity here, and we're solving for the present value. And when we solve for the present value, we get negative $11,025.93. Okay, let's put some more words to this. $11,025.93 is better than $10,000 today. And again, this is based on the expectation that you can earn a true semi-annual investment yield of 6.152%. So that's key. But $11,025.93 is better than $10,000 today. So we've just approached this from another angle. We've used discounting in the TVM wallet on the right to answer this question, to analyze this real-world situation. On the TVM wallet on the left, with the TVM wallet on the left, we used compounding. We determined the future value. And it's pretty easy to see that $14,000 is better than $12,697.34. So there are 2 ways of tackling this kind of question. So let's use the word indifferent before we move on. You would be indifferent between $11,025.93 today and $14,000 2 years from today, provided you thought you could earn a true semi-annual investment yield of 6.152%. Okay, here's the next real-world situation, the second of 3. Now we're being asked, would you rather have $11,000 today or $12,000 2 years from today? This time we're provided with a true annual investment yield, and that true annual investment yield is 9.3807%. So once again, we will draw the TVM wallet, actually wallets plural, because we want to attack this from the two different angles using compounding and then discounting. Okay, so let's start with the TVM wallet on the left. We were told that the true annual investment yield is 9.3807%. Now, in my trusty HP 12C financial calculator, I need to input I, lowercase I, the true investment yield, as a percentage. Your financial calculator may be different. And remember, this is a great time to remind you that the TVM wallet is meant to be used in conjunction with your financial calculator. So here we are at time period 0, and we have two period markers. We have two periods on this timeline. Let's fill in the blank. How are we telling time? We're telling time with an annual time span in between period markers. So only a true annual investment yield will work, and that's good because that's what we were given. And we're trying to figure out, do we want $11,000 today or $12,000 2 years from today? So let's calculate the future value. That's what this question's asking us. So our present value is, let's fill in let's write in all of the 5 primary TVM inputs or calculator keys that you're going to be using more often than not. There's no PMT payment, there's no annuity contemplated here. And the future value is equal to $13,160.55. So let's use the word indifferent. You'd be indifferent between $11,000 today and $13,160.55 2 years from today, provided you thought you could earn a true annual investment yield of 9.3807%. So that's the way we think about this. So would you rather have $11,000 today or $12,000 2 years from today? I think we've answered that question already. $13,160.55, it's better than $12,000. So let's approach this with discounting. We're going to answer this question with discounting. And again, the numbers have not changed. So the true annual investment yield is still 9.3807%. We're still telling time with an annual time span in between period markers. And now we want to determine the present value. Again, there's no PMT payment. What's a PMT payment? That's an annuity. And when we solve for PV, I should have put 2 here for N. When we solve for PV, we get negative $10,029.97. So obviously $11,000 is better than $10,029.97. So again, there are 2 ways to approach this. With the TVM wallet on the left, we used compounding. We calculated the future value. We know that $13,160.55, yep, that's better than $12,000. So we answered the question there, but we use the TVM wallet on the right to use discounting, where we calculate the present value. And again, we're using different numbers here, but it's pretty clear to see that $11,000 is better than $10,029.97. So there we go. That's the answer to the second real-world situation. Let's move on to the third and final real-world situation that involves an annuity. Do we want $10,000 today, or do we want a $2,500 semi-annual annuity, the first payment of which would occur 6 months from today? So let's go about answering this situation. Again, we're gonna draw a couple TVM wallets here. Actually, I'll make this one a little bigger because I think I've got another TVM Wallet slide for the third and fourth, as we're going to approach this one from a couple different angles. So let's work with the TVM Wallet on the left. Again, this is the abridged symbol, and there are 4 semi-annual periods over this 2-year investment horizon. And we're trying to figure out, do we want 4 of these $2,500 payments, or do we want $10,000 today? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to determine the present value of an ordinary annuity. So we circle that. PV, PMT, FV. In the second window of the TVM Wallet, we have lowercase I, that's the true investment yield, and uppercase N. There are 4 $2,500 payments. Remember, there's a relationship between PMT payment and uppercase N when dealing with an annuity. How are we telling time? Let's fill in the blank. We're telling time with a semi-annual period, so we'll put an S in the subscript for uppercase N to remind us how we're telling time. So how do we read that? There are 4 semi-annual periods. There are 4 $2,500 PMT payments. And we know that only a true semi-annual investment yield is going to work. And that's great because that's what we were given, 6.152%. So we're back to this true semi-annual investment yield. And we want to calculate the present value of an ordinary annuity. We're going to put OA in parentheses because we can. And when we calculate that, we get negative $8,632.70. So right there we know the answer, provided we thought we could earn a true semi-annual investment yield of 6.152%. That's key, right? That's kind of the glue. We know our answer. We'd rather take the $10,000 and not run, but invest those monies. Remember, why is $1 in the hand worth more than $1 in the future? $1 today is worth more than $1 in the future because there are markets for capital. Money can earn a return on investment, and that return on investment is the true investment yield. So we already have our answer, but let's go about solving this a couple other ways. Now we're going to figure out, okay, we know we'd like the $10,000 today, but if we had $10,000 today, and if the $10,000, if it were the value of the present value of an ordinary annuity, what would our payment be? And when we solve for payment, we get $22,895.97. So you would be indifferent between $10,000 today and an annuity that contemplated 4 semi-annual payments of $2,895.97, provided you could reinvest those monies and you expected you could earn a true semi-annual investment yield of 6.152%. So again, that's how we talk through that. That's how we think about it. So when we look at just the PMT payment, well, of course, $2,895.97 is better than $2,500. So first we looked at the present value. Yes, $10,000 is better than $8,632.70. We already had our answer. But now I want you to see how you can look at it from the PMT payment perspective. Let's move on to the last 2 TVM wallets, and then we'll call it a wrap. Again, we're just approaching this from a couple different angles. That one will work. Okay, the numbers have not changed, so we're still dealing with a true semi-annual investment yield of 6.152%. This is still a semi-annual time span. That's lowercase n. And we know that we'd rather have $10,000 today. There are 4 of these semi-annual time spans over the investment horizon. So let's calculate the future value. So we've used discounting already. Now we're using compounding to determine the future value. And when we solve for the future value, we get 12,000. This is a number you're going to recognize. $12,697.34. Okay, last but not least, we're going to use compounding once again, but this time we're going to figure out and I'll draw a complete timeline this time just because we can. $2,500. This is what the payment stream would look like. $2,500. 4 of those payments, 4 of those PMT payments. So $2,500. Remember the relationship between uppercase N and PMT payment. There are 4 $2,500 payments. The true investment yield hasn't changed. It's still a true semi-annual investment yield of 6.152%. Here the PV is 0. And now we're solving for the future value of an ordinary annuity. And when we solve for the future value of the ordinary annuity, we get $10,961.23. So we would be indifferent between an annuity with 4 $2,500 payments being made semi-annually and $10,961.23, provided you thought you could invest those monies and earn 6.152%. So again, just another angle we've used in this lesson. In this lesson, we've used discounting and we've used compounding to support our decision and to support the math. So that's a wrap. If you like what you learned in this lesson, please consider telling your friends about this channel, TVM Rules, and the book that made it possible. The book, Would Your Boomerang Return, can help you figure out the would you rather or the this or that as it relates to the time value of money, information that we've covered in this lesson. And it all comes down to one word: indifferent. The first window of the TVM Wallet helps you when looking at money in different points in time. If you haven't purchased your copy yet, all the important information on this all-important topic is gift-wrapped within the cover of Would Your Boomerang Return. Until next time, enjoy the gift that is the present.